What makes a spy truly deadly? Is it their ability to slip past enemy lines undetected? The ease with which they manipulate those around them? Or is it the sheer courage required to step into a world of betrayal, where one wrong move could mean torture, imprisonment, or execution? During World War II, the world of espionage was not limited to men. Women, brilliant, fearless, and utterly ruthless, played a critical role in gathering intelligence, sabotaging enemy operations, and turning the tide of war. They were socialites turned saboteurs, entertainers turned informants, and housewives turned assassins. Some charmed their way into the enemy's confidence, while others took up arms and led guerrilla attacks deep behind enemy lines. The Nazis feared them, the Allies depended on them, and today, history remembers them as some of the most daring and effective spies of the war. These are their stories. Nancy Wake did not look like a warrior. With her dark curls, impeccable style, and mischievous grin, she appeared more suited to high society than high-stakes espionage. But appearances were deceiving. Born in Australia and raised in comfort, Nancy left home at an early age, yearning for adventure. She found herself in Paris as a journalist in the 1930s, where she witnessed firsthand the rising cruelty of the Nazi regime. The beatings, the public humiliations, the destruction of Jewish businesses. She saw it all and vowed that if she ever had a chance to fight back, she would. That chance came with the German invasion of France. Nancy joined the French resistance, smuggling Allied airmen and Jewish families out of occupied territory, ferrying them across the treacherous Pyrenees Mountains into Spain. The Gestapo soon took notice. They called her the White Mouse because no matter how hard they tried, they could never catch her. When the heat became too great, Nancy fled to Britain, but she wasn't done fighting. She trained as a special agent with Churchill's Special Operations Executive SOE, mastering hand-to-hand combat, explosives, and sabotage techniques. Then, in 1944, she parachuted back into France, wearing a fur coat and high heels, naturally, to lead thousands of resistance fighters against the Nazis. She executed daring raids, derailed German supply trains, and killed an SS officer with a single lethal judo chop to the throat. She once rode her bicycle over 300 miles through enemy territory in a single stretch to deliver vital radio codes, flirting with German soldiers at checkpoints along the way. In her words, the only good Nazi is a dead Nazi. Nancy survived the war and went on to become one of the most decorated female spies of World War II. Her legacy? A woman who could drink, fight, and kill just as well, if not better, than any man. A wooden leg does not make for an ideal spy. It leaves footprints, it slows you down, it gives you away. Unless, of course, you're Virginia Hall. An American socialite with an Ivy League education, Virginia dreamt of becoming a diplomat, but her ambitions were crushed after a hunting accident cost her a leg. Undeterred, she nicknamed her prosthetic Cuthbert and refused to let it slow her down. When war broke out, she volunteered as an ambulance driver in France until the Germans overran the country. That was when Virginia's true career began. Recruited by Britain's SOE, she became one of the most effective spies in occupied France. She disguised herself as a cranky old woman, using thick layers of clothing and a hunched posture to throw off the enemy. She set up safe houses, gathered intelligence, and organized sabotage operations, all while being relentlessly hunted by the Gestapo. Posters went up across France. Wanted, the limping lady, the most dangerous Allied spy. When the Gestapo closed in, she did the impossible. She escaped across the Pyrenees on foot in the middle of winter despite her wooden leg. When she radioed London about the ordeal, her handlers jokingly responded, "If Cuthbert gives you trouble, eliminate him." Not one to be discouraged, Virginia later returned to France under a new identity, this time working for the Americans. She armed and trained resistance fighters, blew up bridges, and coordinated attacks just before D-Day. Her legacy? The first female secret agent in CIA history. She was a star, a legend, a performer adored by audiences from Paris to New York. But Josephine Baker was more than just a glamorous singer and dancer. She was a deadly spy, hiding in plain sight. Born in 1906 in the slums of St. Louis, Missouri, Josephine had a difficult childhood marked by poverty and racism. She found escape in dance, and by the time she was a teenager, she had joined traveling vaudeville shows. But it wasn't until she moved to France in the 1920s that she became an international sensation. Her daring performances, effortless charm, and undeniable talent made her one of the most photographed women of the era. She rubbed shoulders with the rich and powerful, from artists like Pablo Picasso to politicians and high-ranking officials. By the time World War II erupted, Josephine was living in a grand chateau in France, performing for Europe's elite, including Nazi officers. They saw only a dazzling entertainer. What they didn't realize was that Josephine was listening, watching, and remembering. Using her celebrity as a cover, she attended lavish parties where German and Italian officers spoke freely, believing the charming performer to be harmless. She carefully gathered intelligence, jotting down notes in invisible ink on sheet music and hiding messages inside her dresses. She used her touring schedule as an excuse to smuggle critical documents across borders, ensuring that vital information reached the French resistance and the Allies. Eventually, the Nazis grew suspicious. They raided her home, searching for evidence. They interrogated her, but Josephine Baker was always one step ahead. Nothing incriminating was ever found. After the war, she was awarded France's highest military honors, proving that spies could come in all forms, even dazzling, high-kicking, feather-clad performers. She was gentle, quiet, unassuming. She was also one of the most dangerous women in occupied France. Noor Inayat Khan was an Indian princess, a descendant of Tipu Sultan, and a gifted musician and writer. But when war called, she left her artistic world behind to become a wireless operator in Churchill's SOE, the most dangerous job a spy could have. Parachuting into France, Noor quickly became the last radio operator left in Paris after the Gestapo rolled up her entire spy network. She moved constantly, transmitting messages under extreme pressure. Every transmission risked exposure, yet she continued, outlasting every expectation. But betrayal found her. A jealous French informant gave her up for money. Captured and tortured, Noor refused to break. The Gestapo kept her chained, isolated, and beaten. She never gave up a single name. Her last recorded word before her execution was simple but defiant: liberty. She was posthumously awarded the George Cross, one of Britain's highest honors, and her story remains one of quiet, unwavering strength. Spies disappeared all the time, vanishing into the shadows of war. Some were captured, tortured, and executed. Others simply never returned, their fates unknown. But Vera Atkins refused to let them become just names on a list. She made sure they were never forgotten. Born to Jewish parents in Romania in 1908, Vera grew up with a sharp mind, an unbreakable will, and a talent for languages. When war erupted, she became one of the most influential women in the Special Operations Executive SOE, a secret British organization dedicated to sabotage and espionage in Nazi-occupied Europe. Vera was no ordinary officer. She was responsible for selecting, training, and deploying some of the most daring spies of the war, including many women. She forged cover identities, provided last-minute encouragement before they parachuted into danger, and coordinated their missions from London. But war was merciless. Many of the agents she sent never returned. When the war ended, Vera was haunted by the unanswered questions. What had happened to them? Where had they fallen? Determined, she set off across Europe, hunting down the truth. She traveled through devastated cities, interrogated former Nazis, and sifted through execution records, piecing together the last moments of those who had sacrificed everything. One of her most chilling encounters was with Rudolf Höss, the commandant of Auschwitz. Through relentless questioning, she extracted a confession that would later be used as key evidence in the Nuremberg trials. Her legacy? She was the woman who refused to let history erase its heroes. Thanks to Vera Atkins, the bravery of those who vanished in the fight against tyranny was not lost in the silence of war. Women spies of World War II weren't just secret agents. They were warriors, rebels, and survivors. They risked everything, not for glory, but because they knew the world needed them. Be brave, be strong. You can do hard things.